to each other. We need to hear the different ways that we walk through the world. How can we do that and not deaden our hearts? Mm-hmm. How can we do that and not make our skin 1,000 inches thick?
To accept that Christopher Columbus discovered America and that this is a big old melting pot, you get here, wherever you're from, whoever you think you are, you're just an American now, and it's the same for everybody. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Indian isn't even a word. My daughters have a fit about that. They go, Native Americans, what is it? We're not Indians, we're not Native Americans. We're indigenous people to this area.
I'm from the Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma.
Pomo from Ukiah.
I'm Inuit. I'm San Carlos Apache.
All the time that I was growing up till I was about 12 or 13, like I said, that was like 1956, I was sent to live in a white home down here in the city, according to the sisters, to take out all the savageness that was in me. That's what the Catholic nun said. While I was there, I pretended to be white, which made me feel really bad, but it's like when you're in Rome, do as the Romans, and
we were brainwashed by the colonialism mentality. The Spaniards came to the Americas, and all the natives, whether we came mixed or not, that was the standard, to be white in that society.
What is Latina? Latina represents so many countries, so many cultures.
44 countries, 88 cultures. We are certainly very diverse.
Native American, Chicana,
Cuban American,
Chicana India,
Chicana Mexicana,
Chicana Mexicana,
Afro-Cuban,
Puerto Riqueña,
I'm Latina, Chicana,
American of Mexican descent,
Chicana, Latina, Puerto Riqueña, Mexicana.
When I think about my grandmother and what she pushed for her kids to be educated, because then you were going to be treated better, because if you acted like an Indio or an India, then you're going to be mistreated. And yeah, that sense of, even though she was an India herself, she wanted her kids not to necessarily identify with that aspect of who she was, which is very sad.
My grandmother taught me no culture, and she taught my mother no culture. She was afraid to teach me anything because of her own fear of being beaten for her language and her ceremonies. And I knew she was one of the greatest basket weavers that there was in our tribe, but I didn't do basket weaving. My mother didn't do basket weaving. That's how much of the oppression of her time had taken out of her. She taught us how to gather acorns. She taught us how to pick seaweed. She told us how to prepare it. She told us how to save it. But she never told us that there were songs and ceremonies that go with that. I talk more now to my grandmother than when she was alive, because now she has the freedom to tell me everything without the fear that I'm going to be hurt from it.
I grew up in a little tiny village in Colorado, very isolated. And my grandma on my mother's side was half Navajo, but she never told us she was. She was married to a French man, and they were very quick to say French, but never Indian.
It's the Indio. It's the Indian part of us, and you're saying it's the African part of us. So it's any part of us that isn't Gachupin, that isn't Español, that isn't European, is despreciado.
Remember how we lined ourselves up according to skin color?
We talked about how we felt when we were in those places in the line.
My great-grandmother was constantly on me about the fact that I had the nappiest hair of the three of the daughters, but thank God I had the lightest skin. You know, and she was very proud of her long hair and her light skin, and, you know, make sure you pinch that nose, it'll go nice and straight, just like my nose, just like my nose. Come to find out as an adult that my great-grandmother was the product of a rape, that her father raped her mother. And this is why she was half white. And to still have that and take that on as something, because of the color she was and because of how her hair was, as something to be proud of, and to pass that on, not just to your children, not to just to your grandchildren, but to your great-grandchildren, to your great-grandchildren.
Generation.
You know, that's a long line of that.
Identity is a big problem in our community. We don't love ourselves. We don't like the way we look. We don't know about our history. We don't know about our contribution to America. You know, we've been trying to buy into this paradigm of beauty, this paradigm of how we can make it in America, and that's not going to get anywhere, because as soon as you get in there, you're either the token of representation, and if you start to get out of line, again, you will be put in your place.
My people come from Ireland, Scotland, England, and Germany.
England,
Ireland, Britain, and from
Scotland, Germany, the Netherlands, Ireland.
From Germany, England, Sweden, France, Italian and French and Irish,
Lithuanian, Polish, and French Canadian.
Primarily Dutch and German and English, I think with a little bit of Amazon warrior thrown in.
I'm adopted, so I don't know my ancestry.
I'm Lithuanian and Austrian, and as you all know, I had a problem with the ancestral part, primarily because I didn't feel a connection.
At some level of consciousness, I always know I'm part of the colonization and the invasion and the oppression, but that I keep that out of sight and out of mind.
You cannot not be racist. It's in our water. It's in the air that we breathe. It's the world that we were born into. It's the world that we were born into.
My mental picture of a racist is this big white guy, you know, saying all this stuff and being mean and making slanderous remarks and blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying, well, that's not me. That's not me. Where does racism show up for me? I know it's in there. Where is it? And it scares the hell out of me. Who am I hurting? What am I doing?
I think a lot of times we don't know what we're saying. And by we, I do mean white people. I mean, I've thought about like talk shows and stuff and listening to people of color all pissed off and, you know, you're just ignorant. And I would think, well, I'm in the clear there because I know I'm not a racist, I'm not ignorant. Well, I'm really ignorant. So I sort of felt down about that, and then I got really excited because what that means is all the stuff you don't know, then that means there's all that stuff you get to learn.